How far does Ashito get in Blue Lock? This is the question I have decided to answer. Now, before I start, I'm only going to go up to the under 20 arc because that's what I've read up to. But might as well use the under 20 arc as the set mark for now. And the Ashito in question is the current one because the beginning and the one throughout the journey clearly isn't his best version and also doesn't compare to what he is now, and also makes it easier for me instead of looking at all of his versions and seeing which one is good for which scenario. So I'm going to stick with the current one, which makes a lot of sense to me. One, because he probably wouldn't make the switch to left back. At the beginning of the show, he didn't have these qualities. He was mostly primary a striker. And one thing that definitely hurts him, which I will be talking more about, is his physical and technical skills were way worse than they are now and probably unusable in a Blue Lock level. The best way to say it is Blue Lock characters are full builds in an MMO game. Just Ego taught them how to use their builds differently and how to optimize it to make it do more. Learning how to use their weapons in a different way and a more effective way and change their way of thinking. Replace Ashito from Isagi, I can definitely see him get past the first couple challenges because he was still a moments player. What do I mean by that? He's a player that 1-1, it's a draw. He needs a miracle to score. He's someone who steps up. But in games like this, especially most of these games, I'll need a more consistent, at least for a longer period of time. And I don't think Ashito, with the so many flaws he had in the beginning, could be that consistent. Now enough of that, let's see how far Ashito gets. I'll start off with showing you a graph of what I think his skills would be and even give you a couple comparisons at the end of players who play just like him or have traits of him. First off, we've got his speed. I'll give it a C. Now, I am treating speed as an overall athleticism, and this is definitely his weakest attribute. From vertical to physicality, we see when players with such attributes completely dominate him and leave him shocked, taking him time to even adjust to the situation. Now, before I move on to the next one, I have to talk about something that makes him special and great, and why I decided to bring him to the Blue Lock system. It's his weapon, Eagle Eyes. Now, interestingly enough, it's similar to Isagi's Better Vision, but what it does is it allows him to see the position, body orientation, and location of nearly, in some occasions, every player on the field, and able to simulate their path. For my One Piece fans, he basically has future sight, but with this ability, he's definitely used this to buff and give a raise to other stats. Athleticism or speed isn't one that you can really buff with just being able to see things. He also has different abilities that could be seen as extraordinary, but are mostly used in a more improvemental stage, such as his photographic memory that he uses to memorize a whole play that happened in the game. New ability he's gained through Asparion, and his ability to scan the field, able to even improve his vision. After all that, we go back to the stats I was talking to. Defense. Now, defense is a B because he doesn't have the frame or the strength for it. It definitely would put him lower, but with his Eagle Eye, he can read the opposing offense and position himself and his team, if they allow him, and listen to his commands in the correct spot. Now, because of the lack of athleticism, he does sometimes just get speed blitzed or pushed out the way because he physically can't handle these players. Even though you know what they're going to do, you're still unable to do something about it, which is the reason why I give it a B. Because if we put him in a team setting, which most of these challenges will be in, he's definitely excellent and I would say excels more. But now, on the other hand, in a 1v1 situation against most of these Blue Lock strikers especially, I don't see him by himself specifically stopping anyone or being able to stop most of these players. Enough of the defense, and let's go to the passing, the playmaking aspect of this. Now, I struggle with this because he does lack the technical skills as stated before. So when it comes to making the advanced, clearly really hard passes, I don't believe he could do that yet because he hasn't shown it. He showed glimpses, but not a consistent base. But with his eagle eyes, I have to definitely boost this like really high, because he can make the correct pass. Even though it's not the pass that would lead to a goal, he can make short passes that can build up a play and be dangerous for the opposition. So a B suits it. Honestly, I can see it being an A and even higher. It really depends on how much you're giving to Ashito. Moving on to dribbling, like I stated before, once again, technical skill does take a really large part of this. And he's definitely no Bachara. He's not going to outskill you. But unlike the beginning of the show, right now, I'm confident with him in the ball. He's definitely learned how to keep the ball on his feet without losing it, even with pressure and no pressure, and making sure they don't lose the ball or turn the ball over in difficult situations. So I'll give it a B. But now, if an extremely good defender comes in, I don't know how that would work. Most likely, I think he would lose the ball. But because he does play more defensively, it's mostly offensive players guarding him or pressuring him. And this is one thing he used to do a lot, shooting. As a former striker, he was pretty good at it. Wouldn't say he's anything crazy, but I'm confident in him making a shot. In Blue Lock terms, I wouldn't say he has any secret weapon that can make him shoot an extremely difficult shot. But like Isagi's direct shot, I can see him pulling one off without that much difficulty. He's got a lot of goals back in, especially Esperan's B team, and was mostly the main striker for that team. So I don't think his striking ability has necessarily gone down. It's just the main reason why he's no longer a striker was the athleticism aspect. He wasn't explosive enough to get those shots off. And finally, we've got offense in general. It's an A. He can go from scoring goals by himself to a direct assist to assisting without even interacting with the ball and just ordering his teammates around or just running around himself, making the defense follow him, creating chances for his team. He's definitely someone who can give you a goal. Now, his limitations such as athleticism and technical skills, is it going to be consistent? I'm not quite sure just yet, but for now I'm not going to say it is. So I'm going to give it an A, but it's definitely one of his strongest aspects right now, since he's moved from an offensive role to more the balanced role now. If I had to give Ashito comparisons, the first one, pretty easily enough, the main character of Blue Lock, Isagi, both having similar abilities in Eagle Eye and Better Vision, also having similar shooting techniques with the direct shot as stated before. I would say though, while in the beginning of Blue Lock, Isagi's flaw that he believed was that he passed the ball in situations where he shouldn't, Ashito is the opposite. He shoots the ball sometimes when he shouldn't. The next character I'll compare him to is Nico. He is more of what the role he plays right now in Awashi. He's more of Kento, if you know who he is from Awashi. But since Kento and Awashi both play similarly, just one being more defensive, Nico is definitely very close and similar to his playstyle, being both defensive and offensive, while also being the team's playmaker. And finally, we've got Rio, as we are introduced to him. He is the ultimate two-way player whose playstyle is all about being good in all aspects of the sport, which is Ashito's goal. And that is what his playstyle is meant to be. Being good at passing, playmaking, shooting, defense. A very versatile player, which, he may not be that yet. Only thing is that Rio does have the speed and athleticism that Ashito probably won't gain. After all that talking, let's get into the introduction arc. They play good old tag. Now, I don't see any issues that would come around this test. From his amazing awareness and skills, on paper he shouldn't lose. Now, he definitely could fail because he would play the challenge in a more Bachara way, or Isagi, as it happened in Blue Lock. What I mean by this, very offensively. He definitely would be in the defense, trying to mind his own business, while everybody else is trying to tag each other out. But I have nothing much to say about this challenge, but say, I see him passing this challenge. I am not worried about him failing, unless he, in the end of the match, Bachara has the ball and is aiming for him. And even then, I could see him dodging it. Now into the first selection match. The first match is against Baru and his team. The problem with this first challenge was the win card for this was pure dominance. And unfortunately, Ashito is definitely not that. And the most dominant player is still Baru in this chaotic situation where everybody is not working together, there's no teamwork involved, and it's just every person for themselves. Baru clearly dominates and will continue to dominate. So I don't see it going too differently to how it went in the story, which I do believe that Baru would get less goals. Or at least anytime it wasn't Baru shooting, Baru's teammates who shot the ball, I don't think they would score. Because while I don't think Ashito could defend Baru one-on-one while everybody's being chaotic, I do think the other characters, he could definitely slow them down or stop them from scoring. Now going back to the dominant point, especially with the chaos, so unless the team operates fast enough, Baru will sweep them. And with that, let's just move on to the next one, because this is definitely going to be a loss. So 0 points gained. But now with somewhat teamwork, and this being slightly more of a defensive team, with the thanks of Ashito, the only problem with this match is Nico, because it's basically a mirror match. People with the same mindset and abilities working against each other. To me, this match all depends on who has the better co-stars, which I do think we could agree that Ashito's or Isagi's team would have the better co-stars with Bachira, Kunagami, and the others. But if I had to talk more about Nico, is the only thing that made him special in this first test, other than his great overall play, defensive and offensive, and knowing when to switch between the two, is the ability to be hidden in the shadow and no one targeting him or noticing him doing all these slight movements to get the team up. But with Ashito's ability to see everyone on the pitch and able to see the movements and where Nico's offense will be heading and able to control their defense and create chances, I think this one definitely would be easier than it actually went on Blue Lock. So Ashito wins this one as well. Since Nico's whole stick would be discovered much quicker, they have the better co-stars, and all they have to do is stop what they want to do. And with, an Ashito's weapon, which is his eagle eye, and teammates working together, I don't see the match going anywhere but in Ashito's favor. Now on to the big Chigiri game against Team W. Don't really have any impressive players, so the problem comes from playing a player down. Now, could Ashito at least stop them from scoring? That would be a bit much. But quick aside, I'm not sure if Ashito clearly sees the future and would know that Kun would miss the shot, so would just pass it somewhere else, meaning I don't think Kun will get discovered as the traitor, since if it's really seeing the future and knowing that this guy won't score and this guy will, the pass has never been made, and probably the discovery of Kun cheating will probably never also be discovered as well. But if it's more like a probability thing, where like if you pass it to this guy, it's 100% a goal or the highest percentage chance of a goal. It all depends on the guy shooting. He can't see, oh, this guy is going to stop himself from shooting. That doesn't go through his probability of chance of scoring. Because if it is that, the game would still go the same way. They'll find out he's cheating and do as they did. But since it's based on realism, I do think it's the second one, where it's more of a probability thing more than a seeing the future thing. Now, it could end like the manga and Chigiri wins the game, but at the same time, knowing Ashito's weakness doesn't really affect or change much, because even with or without the ball on his feet, he is effective, and that's the whole point of Ashito. He's a playmaker now. At least that's what he refers to himself. He is someone who doesn't really need the ball to get a goal. He can make passes, he can shoot, like I said before, all around player. So if they put more plays on him, it gives him a better chance of a goal. There'll be 2 players down and he could probably use it and take advantage of it. On the other way around, if they focus on other players such as Bachira and stopping him, that leaves him open to do what he wants to do. And he can even instruct the team to do things, as long as they would listen, which I don't think they would clearly listen, because that's the whole thing about Blue Lock, ego and everything. But at the same time, a numbers problem is still a problem. So let's play Chigiri Cooks, and that's another win for them, which is another 3 points, so that's 6 points. And the final test of this section is against Team V, an extremely powerful team with the likes of Nagi, Ryo, and Zentetsu. A lot of things happened for them to win this game, from Isagi, Kunagami, and Bachira awakening their weapons and sacrificing himself to give them a chance to win the game. Here where the problem comes with his defense. Sure, Ashito could predict where the ball is going to. He could predict that Ryo's going to pass an extremely hard ball, a tough pass to Nagi, and he will trap the ball and effortlessly have an impressive first touch, which I don't believe defensively Ashito is good enough to defend this. And with someone as good defensively as Ryo on their team, it would definitely be harder for him as well to create chances to score as well. Like, the only way I can see them winning is taking into account Ryo's brashness or Nagi's lack of effort, and hope that he doesn't awaken as well. Zentetsu never focuses on Ashito because he would speed blitz him. Hopefully he just focuses on Shigiri and having the speed race. But a lot of things have to go right for them to even win this match, both in Blue Lock, the actual anime, and even in my Ashito theoretical. So when it comes to winning or losing, I definitely would say they're on the losing side, giving it a 4 out of 10 chance they actually win the match. So I've got to give them a fail. I'm pretty sure they needed this win to make it through the next round. So I think this is where they would end, not even making it to the second selection. Unfortunately, Ashito ends here. Well damn. He couldn't make it far. But honestly, if you're going past this stage, I don't blame you. I can see it. Like I said, 4 out of 10 chance he makes it through. But I don't feel confident in him making it through consistently enough for him to deserve to win this match. And with some time, the next chapter or the next 5 chapters of Arashi might come out, and I could be wrong. Ashito might become the GOAT, change my mind, change your guys' mind, and he makes it all the way to whatever current selection you guys are in Blue Lock. But I had to be fair, because there are times where I did ignore Ashito's bad trait, such as, sometimes instead of, like I said before, he wants to be a score first person. So sometimes the one pass that he needs that could get him a goal, a guaranteed goal, he will shoot it instead because he would want to score. A true striker mentality, which I don't blame him for. I never think he gets riled up real quick. A very emotional person. Like currently, he's being dominated by Damien Kant, and all he can do is look at him shocked, can't do nothing. With even when Trepone was dominating the match, he was ready to risk it all, even end his career, just to stop him, or have a chance to stop him. Which I do believe would affect him in some situations, but such as, the barroom match, I can see him affected him in that match, because he's very competitive. But other than that, I don't see it affected him that much. All I'm saying is, characters like Akotsu, Kurabayashi, and Damien, I could confidently say they get way past this part. And if you want me to go through them, or even other characters, and see how far they go, comment it down below. And also let me know what you think. And I may be downplaying Ashito like crazy, but that's because it's very weird and hard to power scale sports anime per se, especially one with more realistic aspects in mind, while the other is more out there. If you guys have a better way to do it, also let me know. And with that, I'll see you guys later.